Hello everyone. In this lesson, we are going to discuss the limit of algebraic functions. So here, we will be applying the limit laws in evaluating the limit of algebraic functions. So we will consider the polynomial, rational, and radical functions. Okay, so let's start with the polynomial function. Okay, so para malaman natin kung paano natin i-evaluate yung limit ng polynomial function, let's consider this illustration. So let's determine the limit of 3 minus 2x as x approaches 2. So makikita natin dito na meron tayong dalawang terms separated by minus sign. So therefore, we can apply the sum or difference theorem, right? So we can distribute the limit to both terms. So we will now have the limit of 3 as x approaches 2 minus the limit of 2x as x approaches 2. Now, observe that this one, the second term, we have 2x. So we have a constant multiple. So we have a numerical coefficient here, and according to the constant multiple theorem, pwede nating ipalabas yung numerical coefficient, right? So what will happen? We will have the limit of 3, copy lang natin yung una, as x approaches 2, minus ipalabas natin yung 2. So we have 2 times the limit of x as x approaches 2. So from that, limit of 3 as x approaches 2, take note that the limit of a constant is the constant itself. So the answer will be 3 minus 2 times the limit of x as x approaches 2. This is the second limit theorem, right? The limit of x as x approaches c is equal to c. Okay, again, the limit of x as x approaches c is equal to c. So whatever your c here, that will be your answer. So here we have 2 as our c, so the answer will be 2. Okay, and 3 minus 2 times 2 is equal to negative 1. So this will be our limit. Now note that if we are going to evaluate the function 3 minus 2x at x equal to 2, we will have f of 2 equal to 3 minus 2 times 2. And this is also equal to negative 1. So in this case, the value of the function at x equal to c is equal to the limit of the function as x approaches c. So our c here is 2. Okay, so the answers for the value and the limit are both equal to negative 1. Okay, next, let's have the second one. How about this one? So we have three terms separated by plus and minus. So again, we will apply the sum or difference theorem. So we have limit of x squared as x approaches 1 plus limit of 2x as x approaches 1 and minus limit of 1 as x approaches 1. Now, for the first term, we have x squared. So a function raised to 2. And according to the power theorem, the limit of f of x as f of x to the power of n as x approaches c is equal to the limit of f of x as x approaches c to the power of n. So, pwede nating ipasok yung limit. So, in this case, yung f of x natin ay parang si x na. At yung n ay si 2. So, what will happen? We will have the limit of x as x approaches 1 to the power of 2. So, yung in-apply natin ay yung power theorem. Plus, ito naman, constant multiple. So, ilalabas natin si 2, limit of x as x approaches 1. Then, copy limit of 1 as x approaches 1. Then, let's evaluate. Limit of x as x approaches 1 is equal to 1. That is the second theorem, right? So, 1 square plus 2 times limit of x as x approaches 1 is again equal to 1 minus limit of 1 as x approaches 1. So this is a constant, so the answer is the constant itself. So what will be our answer here? So 1 plus 2 minus 1, so that will be equal to 2. Okay? Now, note that let's try to evaluate at the function at x equal to 1. So we have f of 1 is equal to 1 square plus 2 times 1 minus 1. And this is equal to 2 also. So in this case, again, the value of the function and the limit of the function are the same. So from that observations, we have actually a theorem. Okay, so let f be a polynomial function of the form this one here. So this is the form of a polynomial function. If c is a real number, then the limit of f of x as x approaches c is equal to f of c. Therefore, in evaluating the limit of a polynomial function, pwede lang pala nating i-substitute directly yung value ng c para makuha natin yung value ng function kasi the same lang siya sa limit ng function according to this theorem. Okay, so we have this one. Therefore, if we have this one, the limit of 3x squared to the power of 4 plus 4 times x cubed 4x cubed minus 5x squared plus x minus 3 as x approaches 1, the limit will now be equal to, ang gagawin natin, we will just do direct substitution. So we have 3 times 1 to the power of 4 plus 4 times 1 cube minus 5 times 1 square plus 1 minus 3. And we will have 3 plus 4, 7 minus 5, 2 plus 1, 3 minus 3. So the answer is 0. Okay? So that will be the answer for this limit. So again, if you are given with a polynomial function, we can just do direct substitution. Okay, another example. How about this one? So the limit of 2x squared plus 1 times 3 minus 2x as x approaches 2. Pwede nyo itong i-expand muna or you can just do direct substitution. So we will have 2 times 2 squared plus 1 multiplied by 3 minus 2 times 2, right? And what will happen? We will have this is 2 times 4, so 8 plus 1, we have 9. Times 3 minus 4, you have negative 1. So, the final answer is negative 9. So, madali na lang yung polynomial function. Kasi magsasubstitute lang tayo directly. Okay? Let's have naman rational function. So, let's have this one. Ayan. So, what will be the limit? So, in this case, let's try to apply the laws. In this case, we can apply the division theorem. So, we will get the limit of 2x plus 3, the numerator, as x approaches 3, over the limit of the denominator, 4 minus x, as x approaches 3. So in this case, since 2x plus 3 and 4 minus x are both polynomial functions, so we can substitute directly. So we will have 2 times 3 plus 3 over 4 minus 3. And this is equal to 9 over 1 or just 9. So actually, whenever you are given with a rational function, you can just do direct substitution. And we have this theorem. Okay? Let, let h be a rational function of the form h of x equal to f of x over g of x, where f and g are both polynomial functions. If c is a real number and g of c is not equal to 0, then the limit of h of x as x approaches c will be equal to the limit of f of x as x approaches c over the limit of g of x as x approaches c, or just equal to f of c over g of c. Therefore, ang ibig sabihin lang nito, if you are given with a rational function, so this is a rational function, okay? In evaluating the limit, you can just do direct substitution, given that the denominator is not 0. Okay? Example, this one. The limit of 1 plus 3x over 3x squared minus 2x plus 4 equal as x approaches 1. So this will now be equal to, using direct substitution, we have 1 plus 3 times 1 all over 3 times 1 squared minus 2 times 1 plus 4. And this is equal to 4 over, this is 3 minus 2. So we have 1 plus 4, we have 5. So we have 4 over 5. Di ba madali lang? Okay, another one. How about this one? So again, just do direct substitution. We have 2 minus 1 times um, 2 square plus 1 all over 1 plus 3 times 2 square. And this is now equal to 2 times 1, minus 1 is 1 times 5. 2 squared plus 1 is 5 over 1 plus 3 times 4. So we have 13. So the answer will be 5 over 13. Okay, so that's it for this one. Okay, so again, this is for rational function. Okay, yon. Now, how about for radical function? Now, for radical function, we will just apply limit theorem number 8 or the radical theorem. Okay, so that's the case if you have a radical function. We will just apply limit theorem number 8 or the radical theorem. Example, this one. So from limit theorem number 8, we will just put the limit inside. So we have square root of the limit of 3x plus 4 as x approaches 4. Now, in this case, take note, the index here is even, right? So, dapat yung nasa loob ay greater than 0. Now, let's try to substitute. So, we have, since this one is a polynomial function, so pwede na nating i-substitute directly. So, we have 3 times 4 plus 4, and this is equal to square root of 16. 16 is greater than 0, so the answer will be 4. Okay, so we have 4 as our final answer. Another example, this one. Okay, so here the index is odd, so there's no problem whenever we have an odd index, right? So we have square root of the limit of x squared plus 3x minus 6 as x approaches negative 2. Again, this one is a polynomial function, so we can just do direct substitution. So we have cube root of negative 2 squared plus 3 times negative 2 minus 6. So we have um, cube root of 4 minus 6 minus 6. So this is cube root of negative 8, and that is equal to negative 2. Okay? Since we have an odd index, so there's no problem. Last example. How about this one? So, applying the theorem, we have square root of the limit of 1 minus 3x as x approaches 1/3. Again, this is a polynomial function, so we have square root of 1 minus 3 times 1/3. Now, take note, our index here is even. So, let's check if yung nasa loob ay greater than 0. In this case, we have 1 minus 3 times 1/3 is just 0. And since yung nasa loob is not greater than 0, we will conclude that the limit of 1 minus 3x as x approaches 1/3 does not exist. Okay, so ganun siya. Even though yung square root of 0 is equal to 0, since we are looking for the limit, so dapat yung nasa loob should be greater than 0 when n is even. So in this case, the limit does not exist. Okay, so that's it for the limit of algebraic function. And that ends our lesson. Thank you for watching.